I was the part of many WhatsApp groups, and standing today, almost 99% of these WhatsApp groups are either closed or I left these WhatsApp group. Either of that. Out of this group, there was one group which used to be admin by one of the Singaporean guys, and the part of this group, I cannot name that group. This group is all about discussing venture capitalist. Basically, it was a marketing platform, let it be honest. Marketing platform in the sense like people go to conferences, they take photos, they upload these photos in that group, and the admin of that group used to upload around 15 plus photos with different people almost every day. And we run 44 WhatsApp group, and we are very strict and particular about our policies, and there is no exception in our policies. Now in this Singaporean group, almost every day I used to say that Softbank is heading towards a collapse, and Sequoia and Softbank together along with other private equity and the venture capitalist firm are running a Ponzi scheme. Because the valuation they are quoting is definitely not the same valuation the companies are at. So let's take an example. Paytm. Paytm is being valued around $16 billion. I doubt Paytm is valued even $1 billion, honestly speaking. Just like WeWork. The real valuation of Paytm will come into the picture when it will go for IPO. Similarly like WeWork. February 2018, WeWork valuation was $47 billion. But when it go for IPO, the valuation reduced to it is approximately $5 billion. And everyone, those who are watching this video know that even 5 billion is a higher number. Importantly, the similar is the case with Uber. Just before the IPO, Uber was valued approximately $100 billion. And today it is valued 50 billion and still in losses. Now you must be thinking, we are here to discuss about the neo-banking. How come the Softbank, Paytm, Uber and everything come into picture? You are right. This video is divided into three parts. Part 1, the funding architecture. Part 2, the banking architecture. Part 3, the stupidity / regulators. I have started calling regulators stupidity because I have my faith and trust towards regulator is completely tarnished. And especially today, when I got to know that there is a company, you can check on the Google, there is a company who created a robo pizza. Robo pizza means if you give a call, that pizza is not made by a human being or human body, rather pizza is made by the robo. And standing today, they are standing at a valuation of around $2 billion, which is 1/4 of valuation of Treasury Consulting. And now they are winding up their all offices in US, and they are asking around 80 plus staffs to quit. One more example which we got to know, and it is again backed by Softbank. In fact, this Robo Pizza was also backed by Softbank. In this, they were selling some herbal products. Name I am not quoting, you can see on Google. This company is now quitting. So 28th February is the last day of that company, and then they will quit. And it is again backed by Softbank. When these companies are running billions of dollars of valuation, it is a prime duty of the regulator to come in the public domain and do the honest valuation. When in a stock exchange, we have all mechanisms like circuit breakers, like minimum, maximum, high, low, open, close, volatility, implied vols and everything. Why not in the private market? Look like regulator across the globe join hands with the private markets, and to whereby they accept a hefty money in the form of the bribe, and they let valuation anywhere. So there is nothing. But don't worry, Treasury Consulting will break that rule. So first part is the Softbank, the funding. But before that, an intro. We know that there is a lot of action which is happening on the neobank front. I don't know, many people believe that neobanking, virtual banking, digital banking are different. I believe that more or less they are same. or there is a marginal difference, depends upon people to people. Now, the point is that in India also, neo-banking is taking a lot of shape. There is no doubt about that. But having said that, we need to wait here and we need to take this story 4 years before. 4 years before, there is a fever that fever gripped the entire globe, and that fever is known as the payment fever. What happened? Many payment companies come into the picture. Almost in less than 2 years, many payment companies come into the picture, and they launched more or less similar product. And what happens? Standing today, 99% of these payment companies are at loss. In fact, I was reading an article, and I got to know that Goldman Sachs invested around 120 million something in a company called Flywire, which is more or less a payment company. And the valuation of Flywire is around, now it is unicorn, which means greater than 1 billion. Having said that, Flywire is having a revenue of around 3.5 or 3.8 billion something, with a loss of 1.1 billion, which means around 33%. 33% loss. Still the company is valued at $1 billion. This can only happen in the private market. And I'm damn sure wherever the Flywire is registered, regulator will definitely not take any action. So 4 years before, when the world was talking about payment and millions of payment gateway come into the picture in a year or so, what happened? Now you know that majority of these payment companies are either in losses, they are cutting people, or they are not surviving. Slowly they are closing, but media is not giving the name of all. Example, Slack. Slack is being valued around $35 billion. $35 billion. I don't tell about Slack more. You go to Google and check about that. So first part is that the neo-banking structure, as I explained number of times, that in the globe is all about credit card, debit card and multi-currency account. This is once again confirmed from this article which published in the newspaper today. But before that, we need a very strong player to fund that model, because debit card, credit card and deposits and multi-currency account cannot make any bank successful. It can only make a bank successful for a very limited amount of time, and it requires a very high gestation period. And I really don't think, considering the private equity and the venture capitalists who are facing huge losses, this gestation period is possible. Example, when 2 years before I was talking about Softbank, everyone was laughing on me. They used to say that how can that possible, a bank wherein you are having so many intelligent people from Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg, how they don't know they're heading towards a collapse? How come you get to know, a kid who yet to turn 36, how you get to know? How come the the Softbank not get to know? Okay, you know that what happened with Softbank, and this is an article that published in the media. So as we already told you that we believe in numbers and we are a person of numbers. That is why before shooting a video we need to collate that number. Now let me read for you. In a sign of continuing struggles with startup investment, Softbank Group Corporation lost money again in the Vision Fund 1 quarter after the Japanese company posted a record loss because of the meltdown of WeWork. The Vision Fund lost around 225 billion yen. 225 billion yen, which is around $2.05 billion, which means the loss in the Vision Fund is around $2 billion. For the 3 months ending December quarter, Softbank Group also reporting a slim operating profit of 2.6 billion yen, which is approximately 25 million US dollars, closer to. More importantly, just try and understand these things, which is the simplicity faith that, yes, Softbank said that the fund portfolio remains unchanged from the previous quarter at 88 investment. It reported a gain in the valuation for 29 companies in December quarter, while 31 saw worth decline. So 29 companies reported increase in valuation, 31 decline. How this valuation is calculating, no one knows. Is regulator is doing any interference in this valuation? No. Our auditor paid 100%. Is this valuation authentic valuation? Definitely not. Elsewise, a company Uber, who is into losses, in fact deep losses, lost around $8.5 billion only in 2019. Can you expect this company to value over $50 billion? If today any idiot is recording Uber at $50 billion, which means that he is an idiot and regulators are heavily paid. Because a company like Uber, who recorded around $8.5 billion loss, cannot be at 50 billion, even 5 billion is more. Now it is saying, note that carefully, this is very important. The unrealized gain on the investment, or the difference between the cost at which they acquired the stake and their present value, shrunk to 5.2 billion. You got my point? I repeat for you. The unrealized gain on investments, or the difference between the cost at which it acquired and their present value. So the present valuation minus the cost at which you acquired is now less by $5.2 billion, which is 1/3 of the paper profit Softbank reported 6 months a year ago. Paper profit. This structure is set to collapse, and it is collapsing. Softbank reported major losses. Major private equity players are not investing in startups. Few new players are taking up, just like Tiger Global, General Electric, hedge funds, they are taking up. But Softbank is slowly melting down. And I think that another 2 years Softbank would be out of the market. Now, in considering all these backdrop, there is a new thing which is coming, which is known as neo-banking. And many people still believe that neo-banking is all about mobile banking, which means the banking the unbanked. But I tend to disregard that, because I believe that neo-banking means bank as a virtual. Just like Treasury Consulting would be launching neo-banking in April 2021, which means that bank as a virtual. Now here is what neo-banking all about. Let me note for you. I will read few things for you. Few months ago, Lizzie Chapman, co-founder of payment platform Zest Money, joked a venture capitalist that she should not respond. She should just reposition her lending startup as a neobank to attract higher valuation, and the same thing happened. Standing today, there are multiple neobanks we have across the globe, and specifically in India. Example, you have Neo, NIYO. You have, like Epiphy, Jupiter Money, Yellow, Juno, Kediophobin, Isoto, beside payment firm like Razorpay. And Razorpay name is getting a lot of speculation about the digital banking license in Singapore. And I will give you in writing, even after digital banking license in Singapore, Razorpay would again be lost for another 5 years. But still, all these platforms are getting high popularity, or I call this as a PR, neo-banking. But if you read this article carefully, it all depends upon debit card, credit card and digital account. Let me read for you. The whole idea of neo-banking is to be able to create a bank on the mobile phone. Here I agree. The cost structure of bank, many of which are based in prime real estate location, is very high. And these costs are eventually passed on to the customer. But he thinks that the cost of the neobank is not high. The idea with the neobank is that if you go mobile, you can drastically reduce the cost, and you can also improve by customer experience by using technology. This thesis is inspired partly by the success of the startups like Nubank in Brazil, Monzo and Revolt and N26 in Europe. By the way, this article which is written by the pimp media, they do not know that all, whether this is Nubank, whether this is Monzo, which is a British bank, Revolt, British, N26 already quitted London. They already quitted London, and around last week of February they would officially quit London, but they would concentrate in Europe. All 26 are in losses. All of them are in big losses. But look the way our media is projecting the virtual banking. This thesis is inspired partly by the success of all are in losses, big losses. In fact, Starling, which is also one of the British neo bank, some people in Britain call this as a challenger bank also. He raised, I think recently, $60 million+ of funding. And again they are taking funding, make sure that by funding they would turn profitable. God knows how. For instance, Neobank, which is aiming to be the Latin American foremost neobank, is providing digital account to small businesses along with loans and credit card valued 10 billion. Digital account. Boss, I am again and again saying that neo-banking is not all about digital account. It is not all about debit card. It is not all about credit card. On the contrary, neo-banking is a big structure, which means it's all about Islamic banking. It's all about foreign exchange transaction. It's all about structured derivative. It's all about trade finance, trade platform, private placements. It includes everything, investment banking. But this is how the neobank structure is happening. But more important thing to tell you now. In late 2018, two people who left Google Pay to launch their startup Epify. Impressed by their pedigree and plan to building a neobank, Sequoia India, Ribbit Capital and other pumped 13.2 million into the startup, which is one of the largest seed funding rounds in recent year. ABB will launch his product later this year, which is once again debit card, credit card and multi-currency account. In fact, Visa International, if you would, I don't know till what extent you are following this, but we follow because we turning out to be a bank. Visa International is currently joining hands with almost everyone. And Visa International is also investing a very handsome money in majority of the startup on the name of the fintech. And if Visa is listening this video, and if not, you can forward to Visa that they are bound to lose. They are bound to lose. I am telling you in writing. If I take this further, the most attractive customer segment for neobank are the millennials and all these nonsense. Neobanks raised 116 million in 2019, which is 7 times year on year. While the figure is not huge, what's striking is that many of the firm has raised a seed round of 5 to 20 million on paper ideas alone. The moral of the story is very clear that majority of the funding which is happening by venture capitalists on the name of the neobank, it only revolves around debit card, credit card, multi-currency account. And now there is a new nonsense which is joining. And what is this new nonsense? Without quoting the name, one neobank decided to create a marketplace. I don't know how many of you know about marketplace or not. Marketplace means just like a food court wherein you have a lot of foods. So in food court, you have a lot of shops. Some offer pizza, some offer West Indian food, North Indian food, Chinese food, English food, all these kind of foods. But they are different shops owned by different people, different proprietary. But would all the shops are opened by one person? But they are offering different things. Marketplace is a place which is owned by one company. Different people come and they sell their product. And I have got to know that one neobank, in fact, I personally visit the website of that neobank and they offered us services. They created this as a marketplace wherein they are allowing other people to come and advertise. To cut this long discussion short, and I will go to read this last paragraph to let you know what is happening around. Neo Bruggery estimate that over the next 3 years, these banks would serve more than 20 million customers. Even if they serve 200 million customers, they would be in loss. But other entrepreneurs are more cautious and say that it will take long time to build a business in this space. Customer inertia and the barrier to switch in financial services are both very high. Absolutely. People don't usually change bank accounts, said Epifi Narayanan. To offer value, you will have to have the right tie-ups with bank, insurance companies, mutual funds. It is not only critical to have right supply, but you can't just simply be a marketplace. So while the neo-banking opportunity is attractive, it is going to take a focused approach to build a product platform, this sense and so on and so forth. All these nonsense. You take my word today, which is 14th February 2020, the neo-banking architecture which is currently being set up worldwide on paper ideas, nothing practical, just like Paytm, just like Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, Flipkart, PhonePe, all are in losses. Lenskart, Mayantra, Jabong, Quicker, not a single company tasted profit, and the list is very long. How can I forget Chayos? And it's a huge list. And now Sachin Bansal is entering into fintech. He wanted to be a bank in India, and specifically non-banking financial corporation. Brookfield, which is a big Canadian alternative asset, he invested around 1400 something crore in Indostar Capital to have an indirect stake in the non-banking financial corporation of India. On the name of all these fancy things, the neo-banking architecture is shaping up. But like I told you, that regulators are definitely paid, and that is the reason they do not allow innovation. And they themselves do not know about innovation. Like, take about Singapore. There is a rumors which are in the public, and I think it is the duty of the Monetary Authority of Singapore to come in public domain and correct these rumors that Razorpay, Grab and C Group are one of the leading contenders of digital banking, full digital banking license. All three are in losses. Razorpay is a payment setup which is in deep trouble. C Group, you visit their annual report, 3rd March, they are declaring their annual report 2019. You get to know where is the profitability. About Grab and Singtel, I don't want to tell you. You can visit Google and see that this quarter result of Singtel, and you can see that how much loan and debt Singtel is having in the book. Singtel is having multi-currency debt in the book, multi-currency, just like Reliance Industries Limited. Overall situation is very pathetic. Just like 2000 when IT bubble was going on, people was heading towards IT. Similarly, in 2008, the financial bubble, people were heading about structured derivatives. Similarly, this time people are heading towards neo-banking only on the paper ideas. But if you keep everyone just like one by one, you get to know that more or less they are same. And more importantly, digital bank is not all about debit card, credit card and multi-currency account. This we will prove to the globe, rest assured. With this, we thank you very much, and we strongly believe that we are not worried about the people. We forecasted about Softbank 2.5 years ago about their Ponzi scheme, and they are in losses now on quarter. Someday will definitely come when the world will wake up. Someday will come when the regulator will understand their role is to, make things better. I'm sure that probably in another 2 to 3 years, majority of the venture capitalists would have too much debt in their book or too much loss in their book. They won't continue. This neo-banking architecture would fail similarly like a payment architecture. Today, we even do not have the data that how many payment companies in the globe are already collapsed or shut down. We don't have the data. Because the biggest problem in this industry is that majority of the companies are private, and they never allow data come in the public domain. And regulatory is such an idiocy that even in Singapore that this data is not in the public domain. So if today I need to check everything about Razorpay, it is not in the public domain. I need to check everything about Grab, it is not in the public domain. However, on paper, Grab is going as a digital bank license, Grab is going as a robo-advisory, but their information is not in the public domain. But nonetheless, Treasury Consulting is heading as a bank in London next year. We are surely going to be challenging the regulatory and let people know how exactly neobank work. We're not worried about the people and their feedback. You know my mobile number, which is +91 9899242978. You know my alternate mobile number as well, which is +91 9818485155. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. Unfortunately, rather than resolving things, what are we doing is creating a collapse. And this collapse is bound to happen. Have a good time.